Hello, friends! Welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge, where a lot of you come to get your daily dose of satisfaction. In this episode, you'll hear how a senior vice president outsmarts his ex-wife, who wants everything, how a road rager gets what he deserves, and why one girl gets revenge on two crappy roommates. I hope you stay for these 3 stories today, and subscribe for future videos. This story's titled, 75% of my pay? Okay, I'll get a new job. Not me, but a guy I worked with 10 years ago. I guess it counts as a revenge. I worked with a guy who really stuck it to his ex-wife. When I met him, he was working in a sporting goods store, making $8 an hour. He was not really like the other retail monkeys. He was older, well-groomed, well-spoken, clearly educated. One night after work, he gets into his car, and I couldn't help but notice that it was a very nice newish Jaguar. I asked him how he could afford it, and he explained it to me. He had been a senior vice president at a well-known Fortune 50 company, which I'll not mention the name of, pulling in $300,000 annually with bonuses and stock options. He was married, but the marriage fell apart, and in the divorce, the wife demanded that she get the house and 40% of his wages. He and his lawyer somehow managed to get her to agree to let him keep the house in exchange for 75% of his pay, no dollar figure specified. As soon as she took the settlement, he quit his job and looked for a minimum wage job. He said to me that she gets 75% of nearly nothing now, since he was working a part-time job maybe 1 or 2 times a week. He had other money stashed away, so he didn't even need the job, and he had a house and its equity as well. Also, no kids, so there was no child support, just alimony. She was furious, of course, and tried to re-sue him, but failed at least once when she claimed that the settlement was not keeping her lifestyle the way she was accustomed to, and he simply told the judge that the divorce was so traumatic to him that he could no longer do his old job as a result. Not sure how it all ended, but I thought it was absolutely brilliant. He was a good employee too, good with customers, showed up on time, no bullshit absenteeism or anything like that. He claimed that he loved each payday because it reminded him of how little she was getting. Working 1 to 2 times a week part-time on $8 an hour isn't much money per paycheck. I hope that wife is happy with the 75% she takes from that. This one's titled, Jerk Driver Ends Up Paying for a Lot More Than a New Car. First, a little backstory. I'm a college student and cycle to campus every day. It's not a long ride at all, but I have to go through a zone where it's illegal to ride a bike on the sidewalk, so I'm forced to ride on the road. Most drivers don't care and just go around me since I stay to the edge and don't make myself a nuisance. Also, I have a shitty electric bike that I commute on. This will be important later. A few weeks ago, a guy in a Ford SUV, I don't know exactly what kind, started yelling at me as he drove by while I was in the road-only zone. All the usual, get off the road, roads are for cars, you're too slow kind of stuff. I get that from drivers on a weekly basis, but I just ignore and keep going. This man was special though, since he cut right in front of me and slammed on his brakes after yelling. I was able to stop before I hit him, and he floored it out of there, yelling, "Better be careful next time, bike." I was pretty mad, but I hadn't gotten his license plate or anything, and I doubt anything could be done about it anyway. There was no real proof. Over lunch, I told one of my friends who works as an EMT the story, and he got seriously pissed off. Apparently, he's seen the results of a car successfully brake checking on a cyclist, and they aren't pretty. 2 days later, the same Ford SUV jerk tried to brake check me again. I was expecting it as soon as I heard him yelling, so I avoided the crash again. I told my EMT friend over lunch again, and he was even madder than before. I wanted to let it go since I can't really do anything about him, and my bicycle isn't gonna win in a crash. The guy keeps trying to brake check me every few days during my morning commute, whenever we're on the same patch of road at the same time. About a week ago, my EMT friend told me that he told this story to one of his friends in the campus police, who was equally pissed off. The 2 of them wanted to catch the jerk driver. The plan was to have the policeman parked on the side of the road in hopes of catching and pulling over the jerk. I heartily agreed, and the officer pulled some strings and had himself posted on duty for that stretch of road. A few days passed uneventfully with no sign of the road rager. I saw the cop parked in the same spot on the side of the road every day. Finally, I'm pedaling along, and I hear the familiar voice scream, "Get the hell off the road!" I yelled back, "Catch me then," and took off. I was spinning my scrawny little chicken legs as hard as they would possibly go, and pegged the throttle. I guess this made the driver even madder, because I heard the engine roar as he pursued me. He shifted into the left lane, and I stayed in the right. I looked to the side and saw a nasty old man in the driver's seat with the passenger window open. His mouth was going like he was yelling, but I couldn't hear him over the wind noise. I saw the police car spot approaching and started to slow down. Taking the opportunity, the driver swung right in front of me. I don't know if it was the speed or his anger that made him swing wide, but he cut across my lane and crashed straight into the back of the police car. I barely applied my brakes and crashed into the side of his car. The officer got out and, spitting mad would be an understatement, and called an ambulance and another police car. Everyone was unhurt since the jerk was only going 25 miles an hour, but there was enough of an impact to trigger the SUV's airbags. The jerk ended up getting arrested for driving drunk, for an illegal lane change, and reckless driving. I don't know all the details, but I imagine causing a crash like that would entail some additional charges. The guy ended up having to pay for extensive repairs on the police cruiser, and for a new electric bike to replace the old one that he destroyed by cutting in front of me. On top of that, I hear his car was defined as totaled by his insurance company since the airbags went off, so he has to pay for a new car. Most likely, he'll lose his license from the drunk driving charges and won't be able to menace cyclists again. Road rage doesn't pay off. The guy's lucky an accident and a DUI was all he got in the end. He's lucky OP was a nice guy and didn't pull out a semi-automatic and unload on his ass. You never know who you're pushing to the edge. This one's titled, "Pick Your Battles a Little More Carefully." So basically, I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment 2 months ago with Sarah and Jessica, names changed. Now Sarah is on the lease. Jessica is Sarah's girlfriend and isn't on the lease. I pay 50%, Sarah pays 25%, and Jessica pays 25% of the rent. Not my ideal situation, but I was desperate for roommates at the time. Fast forward 2 months. They're enormous slobs who never do anything, so I clean up after them all the time. I vacuum the living room, mop the kitchen, do dishes, etc. I buy most of the shared groceries and household items like toilet paper, which the two of them plow through really quickly. Sarah has a cat in the apartment, which is unauthorized, and regularly has an unauthorized dog there too. Their rent is paid late and utilities on the last possible day. Also, the girls smoke copious amounts of pot, and while I don't care, I ask them to be respectful enough to air out the apartment and keep the smoke out of my room. Now last week, shit goes south. Sarah and Jessica overheard me bitching about having to clean up after them, and after ignoring me for a few days, sent me a long text about how rude they considered that, etc. So I let out everything that was bothering me, and tell them that if they don't want to live with me, I'll gladly release them from the lease, repay the deposit, and they can go. This causes them to freak out, and they tell me it's 2 against 1, we'll force you to move. Oh, hell no. I blocked them on all various forms of social media and means of communication. The next day, I went down to the apartment managers and reported the 2 unauthorized pets and the unauthorized occupant. Written notices were given, and Sarah and Jessica threw them straight into the trash. I returned from a 4-day stay at my dad's and go straight to report the unauthorized occupant Jessica, who has already once been asked to leave, and both unauthorized pets, which were supposed to be gone by now. Well, at this point, Sarah and Jessica are getting pissed off. Jessica screams obscenities at me anytime I enter or leave my bedroom. Twice, she spent a half-hour period pounding on my door and the walls of my room. She taunts me through the door, trying to get me to open up. All of this being quietly recorded on my phone while I still haven't said a word. So yesterday, I went back down to the office to finish securing my new apartment and to report more violations. When I came home, the chain lock was locked, so I had no way to get in. This is what I'd been waiting for. Jessica taunts me again, on video, and then slaps the hat off my head, hitting me square in the forehead with the back of her hand. Bingo. The revenge. I call the cops, rat Sarah and Jessica out for being druggies, get all their paraphernalia confiscated, and get a police report for battery. Come Monday, I'll be on my way to the prosecutor's office to press charges. The apartment managers will also be getting a copy of the report. Also, tomorrow's the last day to pay rent before it's late. Sarah and Jessica disappeared this early morning. If they don't pay rent, I'm gonna get them on the abandonment clause, finally get them evicted, and have the locks changed. All before I move out tomorrow. It's 2 against 1? Think again. All I was thinking when reading this story was that I hope the cat and dog find a good home. I could care less about those 2 girls. I hope you enjoyed these 3 revenge stories today. If you enjoyed it and aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes. And I'll see you guys in the next one.